Radiation is a pretty terrifying thing. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and most of the time you don't even realize it's killing you until it's far too late. Now sure, we all know radiation can be dangerous, but the cases we're talking about today weren't just dangerous. These were so extreme that doctors genuinely had no idea how to save the victims. And considering one of these people absorbed around 1,500 times the safe yearly radiation limit in just a few seconds, yeah. This gets horrifying pretty quickly. Today we're covering the 3 worst radiation deaths ever recorded. Deaths explained. Hisashi Ouchi. Hisashi Ouchi was a Japanese nuclear fuel technician working at the Tokaimura uranium processing plant in Japan. On September 30th, 1999, he and 2 colleagues were preparing a batch of uranium fuel by hand-mixing uranium oxide solution in a precipitation tank. They were supposed to use no more than 2.4 kilograms of uranium. They used 16 kilograms. The moment the mixture reached the tank, it went critical. A blue flash lit the room. Ouchi was standing directly over the tank and absorbed an estimated 17 sieverts of radiation in an instant. The safe annual limit for a nuclear worker is 0.02 sieverts. He had received 850 times a lethal dose. He was still conscious when the ambulance arrived. He was rushed to the University of Tokyo hospital, where doctors quickly realized the scale of what they were dealing with. His white blood cell count crashed to nearly 0 within days. His chromosomes were so damaged they were described as completely destroyed. Not just broken, but shattered beyond any possibility of repair. Over the following weeks, his skin began to detach from his body in sheets. His internal organs started failing one by one. Doctors attempted skin grafts, but the radiation damage was so severe that the new skin simply refused to stay on his body. He was given stem cell transplants from his sister in a desperate attempt to rebuild his immune system. It didn't work. His body was producing fluid faster than it could be replaced. At one point, doctors were pumping in 10 liters of fluid a day just to keep up with what was leaking out of him. He reportedly begged doctors to let him die. His heart stopped 3 times in the final weeks. Each time, doctors restarted it at the request of his family. He died 83 days after the accident. His case remains the longest survival ever recorded after a criticality accident dose of that magnitude. Eben Byers. Eben Byers was an American amateur golf champion and socialite from Pittsburgh. In 1927, he injured his arm falling from a train, and his doctor recommended a product called Radithor, a patent medicine that was essentially distilled water laced with radium-226 and radium-228. The manufacturers marketed it as a cure-all energy tonic. It was wildly popular. Byers loved it. He reportedly drank around 1,400 bottles of Radithor over the next few years and even sent cases of it to his friends as gifts. Radium, being chemically similar to calcium, deposits in bone. So, for every bottle he drank, more radium was quietly embedding itself into his skeleton. By 1930, he started losing weight. By 1931, the holes had started appearing. The radium had eaten through his jaw, his skull, and large sections of his upper spine. Most of his skull had simply dissolved. His jaw had to be removed. His brain had contracted. He had lost around 45 kilograms. A Wall Street Journal reporter who visited him in hospital wrote what became one of the most famous lines in medical journalism. The radium water worked fine until his jaw fell off. He died on April 14, 1932, weighing around 40 kilograms. The FDA used his death as a landmark case to begin regulating patent medicines. His body was so radioactive that when researchers exhumed it in 1965, his remains still measured significantly above background radiation levels. The Goiânia Accident. In September 1987 in Goiânia, Brazil, 2 scrap metal scavengers broke into an abandoned radiotherapy clinic and found a large metal canister. They had no idea what it was. They dragged it home and broke it open to sell the parts. Inside was a small capsule containing cesium-137, a highly radioactive isotope used in cancer treatment machines. The capsule, once cracked open, released a glowing blue powder. It was beautiful. Neighbors, children, and family members came to look. Some rubbed the glowing dust on their skin like face paint. A 6-year-old girl named Lida das Neves ate a sandwich while sitting near the powder. She died 28 days later. By the time authorities realized what was happening, the contamination had spread across the city. Over 250 people were found to have significant internal or external contamination. 4 people died within weeks. The scavenger who first broke open the capsule, Dever Ferreira, received approximately 7 sieverts of radiation and survived. though he spent months in hospital and lost fingers. His wife received a similar dose and died. His 6-year-old niece Lita, who had accidentally ingested the material, received around 6 sieverts internally and was the most severely affected child. 41 buildings were contaminated. 7 houses had to be demolished. The cleanup involved 275 truckloads of radioactive waste. It remains the worst radiological accident in the Western Hemisphere and one of the worst in history. The cesium-137 canister had been sitting abandoned in that clinic for 2 years before the scavengers found it.